Well, first of all, I think if somebody is doing something that is useful to the rest of society, I think that's a good thing. Like, it doesn't have to change the world. Like,
I just bought this wrecked Ferrari 812 Superfast, and we're about to try and attempt to rebuild it in 24 hours.
What did Elon Musk just say about Mat Armstrong that's got car lovers refusing to look away? Rumors erupted within hours, and by the time Ferrari went silent, the story had already spiraled past a single garage in London. Armstrong wasn't just another mechanic. He brought back a car two of the world's biggest names had already declared dead. Then Musk's name entered the conversation, and everything shifted. Bugatti hasn't responded. Ferrari hasn't responded. But thousands online are already calling it the biggest shakeup the automotive world has seen in years. Real breakthrough, or something far more complicated. Stay with us. We're breaking down every claim, piece by piece. The silence that started it all. Ferrari has a public relations team built to respond to almost anything. So does Bugatti. Both companies answer questions from journalists within hours, sometimes minutes. But after Elon Musk posted a single sentence on social media, both companies went completely quiet. Not a denial, not a comment, nothing. That silence is where this story really begins. Even though the events leading up to it started 2 years earlier, in a small workshop outside London.
Welcome to the new American workshop, baby!
The sentence Musk posted was short. He said that locking the software inside a car a person legally owns is a form of theft. He did not name anyone at first, but within hours, thousands of people connected his words to one specific case. A mechanic named Mat Armstrong, who had spent 2 years trying to bring a wrecked Ferrari back to life, only to be stopped by a digital lock no wrench could open. Car forums lit up. Comment sections filled with theories. Automotive journalists who cover manufacturer disputes for a living said they had never seen a post generate this kind of reaction. Within 4 hours, the thread had been viewed more than 40 million times. People wanted to know one thing. Was Musk about to give Mat Armstrong the one thing Ferrari refused to give him? A way to turn his car back on? To understand why this moment mattered so much, you have to go back to where Mat started, and how a wrecked car from an insurance auction turned into a fight that reached one of the richest men in the world. Mat was not always known for taking on car manufacturers. 3 years ago, almost nobody outside his hometown had heard of him. He ran a small YouTube channel with a few thousand subscribers, mostly people interested in watching him fix ordinary cars in his home garage. Nothing about his early videos suggested he would end up at the center of a fight involving Ferrari, Bugatti, and Elon Musk. That changed the day he bought a car that experts said was beyond saving. The purchase seemed reckless to anyone who understood hypercars. The vehicle in question, a Ferrari 296 GTB.
What would happen if you turned the traction control off on an 820 horsepower Ferrari 296?
Had been in a serious crash. The front end was destroyed. The internal wiring was torn apart. Ferrari's own dealership in Cyprus, where the car had been damaged, looked at it and gave a blunt assessment. Repairing it through official channels would cost more than the car was worth. And even then, success was not guaranteed. Most buyers would have walked away. Mat placed a bid instead. He paid roughly 100,000 euros for a car that would have been worth nearly 3 times that amount if it were undamaged. On paper, the math worked. But the math only worked if Mat could solve engineering problems that Ferrari's own trained technicians had labeled unsolvable. At the time, nobody knew that this single decision would eventually draw the attention of one of the most famous entrepreneurs on the planet. Mat certainly did not expect it. He later said in one of his videos that he only wanted to prove the car could be fixed, not to start a fight with anyone. But fixing the car meant more than replacing metal and wiring. It meant confronting a part of the modern car industry that most owners never think about until it affects them directly: the software hidden inside every part of a vehicle, and who really controls it. That challenge would take Matt 2 years to fully understand, and it would eventually connect his tiny garage to a legal and technological battle far bigger than one broken Ferrari. The kid who rebuilt a wrecked car first. Before the Ferrari, before Bugatti, before Elon Musk ever knew his name, Mat Armstrong was just a young man recovering from an accident that changed the direction of his life. He grew up around cars because his father ran a small repair shop. As a teenager, Matt spent his weekends handing tools to his dad and learning how engines worked from the ground up. He assumed he would eventually take over the family business. Then a bad crash on his BMX bike left him with a long recovery period and a lot of time to think. During that recovery, Matt started watching car repair videos online. He noticed something that stuck with him. Most channels that fixed expensive cars only showed the finished result. The failures, the wrong turns, the parts that did not fit the first time. None of that ever made it into the final video. Matt thought viewers deserved to see the whole process, mistakes included. His first real project was not a Ferrari or a Bugatti. It was a wrecked Audi TT that belonged to his girlfriend at the time. The repair estimate from a professional shop was higher than the car itself was worth, which meant insurance treated it as a total loss. Matt decided to fix it himself instead of scrapping it. That first video did not go viral. It barely got noticed, but it proved something important to Matt. The idea worked. People were curious about what happens after a car is declared unfixable. He kept buying wrecked vehicles.
I just bought one of the best Lamborghini have ever made.
A damaged BMW came next, then a Porsche with electrical problems nobody wanted to touch, then a crushed Lamborghini that looked like scrap metal to most buyers. Each project taught him something new about hidden damage, salvage parts, and the growing role of computer systems inside modern cars. Slowly, his audience grew. Viewers appreciated that he showed the boring parts too. The hours spent tracing a single broken wire. The frustration of ordering the wrong part twice. Within 3 years, his channel passed 6 million subscribers, making him one of the most recognized independent car builders online. By the time he bought the wrecked Ferrari, Matt already had experience most home mechanics never gain. He understood suspension geometry, cooling systems, and basic vehicle electronics. What he did not fully understand yet was how deeply modern hypercars depend on software that owners are never allowed to touch. That gap in his knowledge was about to become the biggest challenge of his career. The Ferrari project was different from anything he had attempted before. Instead of simply restoring the car to its original factory condition, Matt made a bold decision. He acquired a rare body kit originally designed for Ferrari's track-only racing version of the same model, a car Ferrari had never approved for road use. His goal was to build something that did not officially exist, a road-legal version of a race car Ferrari kept locked away from regular customers. The mechanical work alone took months. The cooling system had to be redesigned. The suspension needed new mounting points. Every part had to be measured, tested, and adjusted by hand, without access to Ferrari's official diagnostic tools. Then, partway through the build, something strange happened. Photographers near Ferrari's headquarters captured images of a heavily disguised prototype being tested on public roads. It shared a silhouette with Matt's car almost exactly, down to the oversized rear wing and the modified front intakes. The timing raised uncomfortable questions. Was Ferrari developing the very car Matt had already built in his garage? And if so, why was the company refusing to help him finish a project that closely resembled something they seemed to be planning themselves. Mat never got a clear answer. What he got instead was silence, followed by a locked engine that no amount of mechanical skill could restart. A car that would not wake up. By the time Mat finished the physical rebuild, the Ferrari looked complete. The bodywork was flawless. The engine had been reassembled piece by piece. The wiring, painstakingly repaired wire by wire, passed every manual test Mat and his technician could run. Then they tried to start it. Nothing happened. Not a stutter, not a flicker, nothing at all. The dashboard lit up briefly, then displayed a single message, a hybrid system failure, instructing the owner to contact an authorized dealer. Mat and his technician spent weeks trying to diagnose the problem, using every independent tool available on the market. Each time they cleared the fault code, it returned immediately. Eventually, they discovered a deeper issue. Part of the car's internal computer network was not communicating at all, almost as if it had never been properly switched on in the first place. This was not a mechanical failure. It was a digital one, and it required something no amount of wrench turning could provide: a software reset.
But we need to get some kind of fans sitting behind the AC rads, or at least one of them to cool it down. That's going to be the problem that we've got to solve, and then hopefully we're actually going to get the first drive and see what it drives like, because Ferrari haven't even drove it.
That only Ferrari's official system could perform. Mat reached out to Ferrari directly. He explained the full rebuild, the labor, the investment, and asked for one simple thing: permission to reset the system. Ferrari's answer, when it finally came, created a problem with no clear way out. The company said the car needed to be inspected at an authorized body shop before any software work could happen. But to pass that inspection, Mat would need to reverse many of the custom modifications he had spent months perfecting, undoing work that had taken enormous time and money to complete. And even after all of that, there was no promise that Ferrari would actually approve the reset. It felt like being asked to prove you deserve help by giving up the very thing you were asking for help with. Around the same time, Mat faced a second front in this fight. He had also purchased a wrecked Bugatti Chiron, a car powered by a massive engine capable of producing more than 1,500 horsepower. Bugatti's resistance took a different shape than Ferrari's. Instead of a digital lock, the company's leadership publicly challenged Mat's claims about the rebuild, questioning whether certain parts were genuine and whether the work could really be done outside an official facility. Mat responded the way he always had, with footage. He documented every part, every supplier, every step of the process. When the Bugatti's engine finally roared to life in his workshop, it became difficult to argue that the job had been faked. The car ran. It moved under its own power. Mechanically, Mat had proven his point. But the Ferrari remained silent. The Bugatti case was about trust and reputation. The Ferrari case was about something harder to fight: ownership of the invisible code running underneath the metal. Two of the most respected names in the automotive world were now standing against one independent mechanic with a camera and a small team. On paper, it looked like an uneven fight. Mat had passion and persistence. Ferrari and Bugatti had unlimited legal resources and decades of control over how their vehicles could be serviced. There was also a financial side to this standoff that rarely gets discussed. Mat had already spent a significant amount of money sourcing rare parts, paying a skilled technician, and covering months of labor that produced nothing but a car that looked finished, but refused to turn on. Every week the Ferrari sat silent was a week of invested money, earning nothing in return. For a small independent creator, that kind of pressure adds up quickly, and it would have been easy to walk away and call the project a loss. Some of Mat's viewers suggested exactly that. Comment sections filled with people telling him to sell the car for parts and move on to something less complicated. Mat chose not to listen. In one video, he explained that giving up would prove Ferrari right, that an independent mechanic really could not be trusted to finish work this complex. He said he would rather leave the car sitting in his workshop for another year than admit defeat over a problem that had nothing to do with his mechanical skill. A message from an unexpected place. Elon Musk had never mentioned Mat Armstrong before that Thursday evening. The post started simply, with a single line about software locks and ownership. Within minutes, people began connecting it to Mat's ongoing struggle with Ferrari. By the fourth reply in the thread, Musk had expanded on his point, drawing comparisons to an old and familiar fight. Farmers who discovered their tractors contained software locks, preventing basic repairs without official permission. He also referenced newer laws in Europe, designed to require companies to allow interoperability between devices and independent repair tools. Laws that some analysts believe could apply directly to modern car computers. Then the post shifted from opinion to something more concrete. Musk revealed that a small team of engineers, several with backgrounds in advanced vehicle systems, had spent months building an open diagnostic framework. According to the post, this tool did not copy or steal any manufacturer's private code. Instead, it used standard communication methods to safely reset systems that had been locked after a crash. The exact kind of lock preventing Mat's Ferrari from starting. Independent researchers who reviewed the publicly shared documentation said the approach appeared to stay within existing legal boundaries, achieving something that had previously seemed impossible without direct manufacturer approval. The most surprising part of the post came next. Musk named Mat Armstrong directly, saying he would be one of the first people given access to the new tool, along with support from a small technical team familiar with complex hybrid systems. For 2 years, Mat had documented failure after failure. Locked systems, canceled parts orders, emails that went unanswered. Now, without warning, someone with enormous resources and public influence had stepped directly into his corner. Mat's response was almost too simple for a moment this large. He posted a 12-second video. In it, the camera showed his workshop, the Ferrari sitting exactly where it had been for months, still silent, still locked. Mat looked at the camera. He said nothing. He just smiled. That short clip reached millions of views within a single day. Sometimes, silence says more than a long explanation ever could. Behind the scenes, according to people close to the situation, contact had already been made between Mat's small team and the engineers Musk mentioned. The diagnostic tool was reportedly entering its final stage of testing. The car that had sat frozen for months was, for the first time, close to waking up. The reaction online moved faster than anyone could track. Automotive forums that normally discuss horsepower numbers and paint colors were suddenly filled with debates about software law and consumer rights. People who had never watched one of Mat's videos before started searching for his channel just to understand how the story began. Within a single week, his subscriber count climbed by hundreds of thousands, a pace he had never experienced in 3 years of building the channel from nothing. Not everyone reacted with excitement. Some longtime followers of Ferrari and Bugatti argued that Musk had no real understanding of what makes a hypercar different from a mass-produced electric vehicle. They pointed out that hybrid systems in a car like the 296 GTB are far more compact and specialized than anything found in a typical consumer vehicle, and that comparing the two might be oversimplifying a genuinely complicated engineering problem. Mat himself stayed mostly quiet during this period, aside from the short video he had already posted. In interviews given later, people close to his team said he wanted to wait until the tool actually worked before celebrating anything. 2 years of setbacks had taught him not to trust a promise until he saw the results with his own eyes. Why this changes more than one car? To understand why Musk's announcement mattered so much, it helps to understand what Ferrari and Bugatti were actually defending. Buying a hypercar from either brand is not just a single purchase. It is the beginning of an ongoing relationship. Repairs are expected to happen at approved locations, using approved parts, following approved procedures. Step outside those boundaries, and an owner risks losing access to warranty support, and in some cases, the ability to purchase future vehicles from the same brand. This system has existed for decades without a serious public challenge, mostly because very few people have had both the resources and the willingness to fight it directly. Musk's entry changed that balance overnight. His argument rested on 3 points that automotive analysts said could not be easily dismissed. The first involved intellectual property. Ferrari has argued that the software running its hybrid systems is private.
But the hybrid system adds 130 kg for a total drive weight of 1470 kg. It also has allowed Ferrari to shorten this car's
and that bypassing it in any way counts as a violation of that privacy. But the new diagnostic tool, according to the engineers who built it, does not copy or expose any of that private code. It only communicates using standard technical protocols, the same category of communication regulators in multiple countries have already said should remain open. The second point involved safety. Manufacturers have long claimed that software locks exist to protect consumers from unsafe repairs performed outside official channels. That argument becomes harder to defend when a team with deep experience in advanced vehicle safety systems states publicly that the lock is unnecessary for a reset of this kind. The third and most complicated point involved a simple question that courts in multiple countries have never fully answered. Does buying a car mean you also own the software required to operate it? Or does the manufacturer retain control over that software indefinitely, even after the sale is complete? If a court eventually rules that a company cannot use software to block a car's basic function after a legitimate sale, the impact would extend far beyond Ferrari or Bugatti. Every manufacturer using similar locks could face the same legal exposure. Within days of the announcement, the reaction spread beyond car enthusiasts. Right-to-repair advocacy groups pointed to the situation as evidence that the debate over digital locks was reaching a turning point. Some lawmakers in Europe referenced the case directly while discussing new regulations related to digital access and repair rights. Ferrari and Bugatti still had not issued a public statement. For companies with large communications teams, accustomed to responding quickly, the extended silence stood out. Analysts who follow corporate strategy suggested the quiet was not avoidance, but preparation, a sign that both companies were rethinking their legal position rather than ignoring the situation entirely. Legal experts who follow consumer technology cases pointed to earlier disputes as a possible preview of what might come next. Smartphone manufacturers faced similar pressure years earlier when independent repair shops argued that locked components prevented basic screen and battery replacements. Those battles eventually led to new right-to-repair laws in several countries, laws that forced companies to make certain repair tools available to the public. Some analysts believe the automotive industry is now approaching a similar turning point, just years behind the smartphone world. What happens next? As of now, the Ferrari sitting in Mat's workshop has not started.
But my main concern right now, before I move on to any other project, is to get this Ferrari 296 running.
The bodywork is finished. The engine is ready. The battery holds a full charge. Only a single locked sequence of code stands between that car and the open road. but the momentum has clearly shifted. A small mechanic working out of a modest workshop now has support from engineers with experience building some of the most advanced vehicle systems in the world. The tool designed to unlock his Ferrari is reportedly close to release, and if it works as intended, it could set a precedent that reaches far beyond one car or one owner. Matt never planned to become part of a larger fight over who controls the technology inside modern vehicles. He bought a wrecked car because the price made sense and the challenge interested him. The deeper legal questions only appeared later, as an unexpected result of a project he originally filmed just to share with his audience. Yet here we are, watching a story that started with one wrecked Ferrari grow into a debate that could shape how every future car owner interacts with the technology inside their own vehicle. Does buying a car mean truly owning everything inside it? Can a company disable a vehicle a customer has already paid for in full? These are not new questions, but they have never been tested quite like this, with this much attention, and with resources this significant standing behind an independent mechanic instead of a major manufacturer. Nobody knows yet how Ferrari or Bugatti will respond once the diagnostic tool is finished. Nobody knows if the silence from both companies will turn into a legal challenge, a quiet settlement, or something else entirely. This story is still moving, and the next update could change everything we think we know right now. Ferrari and Bugatti have not spoken publicly. The diagnostic tool is still in testing, and Matt's Ferrari is still sitting silent in that workshop, waiting. If this story pulled you in the way it pulled us in, subscribe so you do not miss the moment that engine finally turns over. Drop a comment and tell us what you think happens next. Do you believe this ends with Ferrari changing its policy, or do you think the legal fight is only getting started? We read every comment, and we will be back soon with the next chapter of this story. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.